Alright everyone, we got some Americans to hunt. Welcome back to IL-2, and today we will be flying the Su-15 over Crimea. We'll be intercepting a Neptune that has been flying alongside the Kuban region. And since the fighters from Krasnodar have given up the pursuit, it's up to us. We will be flying from the western coast of Crimea, and to the point of intercept it will be roughly 200 kilometers. I will be flying this on full realism settings, sort of, except for the views, and this mode is work in progress. I have done some touches to it as well, mainly rescaling the radar and changing up the flight model a bit so that it flies a bit more realistic, so that it can actually reach its Mach 2 speed, so that its fuel consumption is as high as it should be. And yeah, so if we are not careful and fly too low, we won't make it because of the fuel. So since the target is flying at 5 kilometers, I think I'll fly at like 7, maybe 8, but most likely around 7, so that my fuel consumption is not as high as it would be at low altitude. And we will fly over to the eastern coast of the Crimean Peninsula, and from there begin our intercept, which will be guided by GCI, which for now is simulated by an AVAX, because I don't really have a GCI object yet that actually works. I might actually try and use the AVAX that Western made, and turn it into a ground-based radar. But anyway, the way it works is not any different. The AVAX will provide me with a bearing towards the target and its target's heading, altitude and speed, and I'll just follow the directions and hopefully meet the target. I will be armed with 2 R98s in the heat-seeking variant. You can see them. I am carrying no drop tanks because I'm not flying insanely long intercept mission. In fact, this being 200 kilometers is basically nothing. It will take a while to get there, but overall you can do this mission while spending not even 2000 liters of fuel, and your plane carries over 6. And that's without the drop tanks. With drop tanks it gets up to around 8. So without further ado, we will fly this mission. You can see the date, approximately at 1966, and the conditions are very nice. Basically no crosswind. The clouds will be low, but they will be low enough so that the target doesn't blend in with them. So we will have a very nice scenery. You can see I can turn off the speed, altitude and heading information in the left corner. It's too distracting. You can see the cockpit is just a stand-in from a MiG-21, but it fulfills its function really well. We have the RPM, we have the Mach meter, fuel, attitude indicator, compass, shit. Was it intentional? speed, attitude, G-loads, altitude, there is a clock behind the stick. That's about all that we really need. Okay, let's get our wingman started. Flaps down. The cyclofield planes, that's the wingman, that's the AVAX. Here we had the interceptors that abandoned the pursuit, and here we have the target, which is currently descending, so let's see about that. Anyway, off we go. This plane is rather energetic. There's a lot of thrust for how actually light it is. It's huge, but it's light. Mainly because most of the plane is actually empty. Or filled with fuel. That said, its wings are fairly small for the weight. So it flies a bit interestingly. On takeoff, for example, the takeoff speed is really high. Like, I will be going 400 and barely leaving the ground. Similar case on landing, although it's a bit more forgiving on landing. I'm still using steering brakes. I'll have to change that as well. The Su-15 had a standard nose wheel steering. And over we go. I do keep looking at the speed. 300 nose up, gears up, flips up. You can maybe see the plane shaking a bit. That's because of how well much I had to pull on the takeoff to actually get it off the ground. Now that we're airborne, it actually flies fairly decent, so I can throttle back and start climbing onto the heading, which will be east. We'll just fly through the peninsula while climbing. And there we could see the actual target information. I'll start trimming the plane. The thing that popped up, that's just kind of a log that I have going, because I was rewriting the drag code, and that is the actual supersonic drag that is being applied to the plane. There's a few things that I will have to change about the actual drag. It's slightly lower than it should be. At least in subsonic region. And the wingman has caught up, so I can throttle up and start climbing away. I'll use time compression so that it doesn't actually take 2 hours to finish. I might actually go straight for the target. We do have enough fuel. That's target is now 180 kilometers out. Seems like a lot, but it really isn't. Now we could shorten this time by actually flying supersonic, but that would also mean burning a lot of fuel, and I do not want to risk that. You know, running out of fuel, but I mean, how high are we? We're like, yeah, 7, so let's go. Mach 1 exceeded. And you can see how fast this plane accelerates. It's fairly substantial. And we're climbing as well. Going to trim it a bit more level, so that we don't climb too high. And as we reach roughly 12 kilometers of altitude, I'm going to level out. This is right about now. I'll set the compass to show me the heading of the target. We're now going Mach 1.6. And we're burning fuel like crazy. Might as well stop climbing. Range 48 kilometers, he's directly below us. Now let's drop to the 3 kilometers he's at. That's the ground clutter. Well, at least the extent of it is actually modeled. And there we go. That's the target on radar. We can't attack it from here because there will be a head-on strike with a heat seeker. That's not something you do, at least in this time period. So we will have to beam it. Might as well use our Mark 1 eyeball to see if we can spot him. She probably won't be able to. Just checking if my wingman is still burning or not. Looks like he blew a brain. Let's see. 340 heading 215. Set 250, and he has spotted them. Now start turning into the target. $290. There we go. Now I would use my radar, but so finished it, and there we go. That's the target. Looks like my big one took a shot as well. Ah, he got him. Well then. Having destroyed the target, we shall now head home. There are the other missile that we have still left. Right there. And at home, it will be slightly more difficult finding the actual land, since we don't have a navigation radar. Just have to guesstimate it. And there we go, that's land. That's this thing here. So we'll climb back to about 7,000 meters and head west when we reach the coast. It's like my wingman is going supersonic for no reason. That's fair to see. We're still sitting above, well, there will be 2,500 liters because the fuel gauge is a bit bugged. For one, it shows in kilograms, not liters, and it starts at 500 instead of 0. It's another way, another thing that I will have to fix for both the Su-15 and MiG-21s. Otherwise, this is a really fun mod. It really adds a new flavor to the whole flying an interceptor in IL-2 kind of thing. It's big, it's kind of heavy, and we just... Yeah, this is what happens at high altitude when you put this plane into a shallow dive. You just go supersonic. That's what kind of was happening with these first Mach 2 fighters in 1960s. They were a bit too clean, and the drag was really low. So you put them into a shallow dive, and you just go supersonic without even noticing. The later planes gained weight and weren't as low drag as the first ones. For example, you can note this with MiG-21s, where the first ones had this thing going on, where they would go supersonic fairly easily, while the later ones would take actually a lot of effort to get going. Same for the Su-15s. You have this one, which is the least drag. Then you have the T, at least in this mod pack, which changed the delta wing into sort of double delta, increasing the drag, but also making the lift characteristics a lot nicer. Then there's the TM, which also gained a different nose, which meant even more drag. But you know, it's what it was. The plane did its job. It could do these long-range intercepts, something that, I don't know, the MiG-21 couldn't. Or the Su-7, Su-9s and 11s couldn't. Let's get our wingman landing and set ourselves up for landing. I'll take a lot of distance for this. This is not a nice plane to land. I'll need this in the corner and a lot of trim. Then I have the freaking sight. Start slowing down. Now this is my personal map, but there is one being made which is very similar for the Black Sea region, and it's a little bit more complete, I would say. Okay, get out. Still can't deploy the flaps, I'll have to fix that. Should be able now. There we go. Approach at 390 kilometers an hour and then just flare until touchdown at 300. Drag shoot out, throttle back, air brake, and have it stop at like 200 meters. Nice. I mean, this was a nice and pleasant flight. you know, just chill, going to intercept naval surveillance plane and then just return to base and land. Nothing too complicated, it's fairly easy, fairly simple, yet kind of fun. I don't know. This is my kind of fun, at least. And now I just have to park this thing. Or maybe watching my wingman land. Manages to... Yes, he's going in for a good approach. There he is, I can already see him, I don't know if you can. Yes, there's a smoke trail behind him. Should maybe stop going so fast. There he goes. Touchdown. He did a better job than I, so stings a bit. After the experience with this plane, I might probably consider doing a Yak-28. I already started working on like a 3D model for it. I might turn the 3D model into an actual mod. Maybe. Well, I would like to do it, it also depends on a lot of factors. But it would be an interesting plane to have in IL-2. It's basically a two-seat Su-15 that looks like an Me-262, but its purpose and performance is kind of similar. It's slightly slower. But it also comes with level bomber variants. And there we can see the guy taxiing in the background. I'll just speed this up and wait for him to get here and end the mission there. God, it's such a great looking plane. It's essentially a box with wings. It consists of very simple shapes at a first glance, but when you look deeper into it, you can see a lot of interesting details, such as the area ruling. Basically, is there to decrease drag at very high speeds, and there we go. It's me and my wingman. Very interesting flight. Let's see the results. We got 50 points for that target going down. And that will be it. Thank you for watching and catch you next time.